Hello Internet, hello What If community, I'm Jackie Fox, and I'm back and at it again with 3 new predictions and the potential confirmation of a theory. At least in so much as it can really and will really ever be confirmed, given what the theory is. First prediction, though, is that, to follow up on a point in Thirsty for God, at the beginning of Season 3, we see a higher resolution and different Realm Scourge. In part, this is likely just, due to the fact that one is more of a small 3D sprite, or the other one is a large, high-resolution render. But there is one thing that is notably different between the two, even beyond all of that, which I don't think can be explained this way. And that is that the Realm Scourge that we see throughout Intermission 2 is notably very hollow, whereas the Realm Scourge that we see at the beginning of Season 3, falling out of the crystal, is a pretty thick boy. But specifically not a hollow boy, and specifically has a very odd thing that seems to be in the center of its chest. So, remember when I said in Thirsty for God, Amnilus is either still in the crystal somehow, she's been released from the crystal in it breaking, or Sodley has channeled her soul, or maybe she's in the Realm Scourge? Amnilus maybe in the crystal, or in the Realm Scourge or something, who knows. Well, looking back at the footage, I think this is kind of proof that she's in the Realm Scourge. This gives us the potential for a moment later in the season where we can see a "Are you in there?" moment. This is probably Gilgamesh, but it gives him a way to maybe speak to Amnilus and then maybe effectively stall or I don't know, but I feel like that's going to be like a clutch thing that comes in handy at a very crucial plot point moment within Season 3, and it's been forecasted actually pretty well, because when you're looking for it, it's obvious. Part of Sodley's madness that we don't get to see in Intermission 2 is his own use of magical armor, perhaps like his TMR item, or that big crest on his shoulder. Basically, he has the same type of magic armor, being kind of incognito in the way that Curry's magic armor was. This means that it would have been created by Sodley, or maybe it's one of the original things that he got from Gilgamesh that he's building the other armors based on. But I think that given what I point out in Thirsty for God, Sodley already redirects emotional energy into his boundless faith. So, naturally, such an armor would make sense for him in terms of means, motive, and opportunity. And since he is already used to harnessing his emotional state to enhance his capabilities, the armor would be a natural supplement for him. And finally, I think I might have confirmed my Freudian theory. Because if you focus on what we know about all of the timelines and resets that Sodley's memories were reset from, in that he hasn't experienced as many as Gilgamesh and Amnilus, or maybe even just Gilgamesh, because I feel like there are some secrets that are being kept from Amnilus as well. But we know 2 things about the ones that Sodley doesn't remember. First, we know that he sees Exia die several times, and many of which he doesn't remember. But also that in many of these resets, he also turns on Gilgamesh with an intent to kill. There's implied to be a pattern in both of these 2 things, not necessarily with each other because they're referenced at different points in the plot. However, I do think that they're connected, because I do think that this is a process. But to Gilgamesh, after having seen this predictable pattern of events play out multiple times, he just realizes that, basically everything that I said in Thirsty for God, he gets it. Gilgamesh gets it about Sodley. That the second that he is no longer redirecting Exia's faith through himself, at the very least, into Gilgamesh, that the second she dies, that he begins to question his faith, question himself, question Gilgamesh, and then eventually just activates his Oedipal complex and goes after Gilgamesh with intent to kill, and perhaps even to also make Amnilus his new Exia replacement. We know he's desperate for an Exia replacement. This is... I don't want to be disrespectful to Sodley's choice in women, but I think Amnilus is an upgrade. Like, Oracle Mommy goddess mommy. Hell yeah. No, I dig it. I dig it. Despite what I said in the previous video, that hair would actually be kind of fun in bed in the way that it would get in the way, but also, like, you could probably use that shit as a mattress if you tried hard enough. Like, you could just sleep on her hair. Like, she doesn't need a sleeping bag if you go out into the wild. You can cocoon in her hair. Just saying. Unfortunately, you can't anymore because now she's a part of the Realm Scourge and he does not enjoy threesomes, but... Oh, man. So I guess my point is that these two things in these runs are connected, because we know that even though they may be resetting less amounts of time than we were given to believe when Amnelis made her initial predictions about how many times they would be able to reset time, we still know that they are incredibly limited in the amount of times that they can do so, and that they wouldn't do so cavalierly. So, you've got to assume that both of these things probably happened in every run if it happened enough times that Gilgamesh is seeing a clear pattern. So the pattern would be that Exia dies, Sadly loses his faith in God, starts questioning himself, starts questioning his faith, starts questioning his motives. The first crisis of faith, and Exia's death itself is its own crisis of faith, will drive him into madness, and he begins to enact his Oedipus complex by killing God and claiming Goddess Mommy to replace Exia, or at least that's kind of his intention. Or so Freud, a notable coke-addicted misogynist, would say. So while I do believe that this is actually a pretty fitting interpretation of Sadly's motivations and such, it's also not the only one and probably not the best. It does seem incredibly fitting, and usually games like this stick with Carl Jung, who was kind of a protege or a student of Freud. But, you know, I can totally see them taking his thirst for Gilgamesh back to a Freudian psychosexual analysis of Sadly's character and his repression as a priest. Anyways, pretty sure I called that one. I think I knocked that out of the park, and, well, I guess we're gonna see if it's a good idea to get Amnelis out of the Realm Scourge, if maybe we can hijack the Realm Scourge because she's a part of it, or maybe this causes our heroes to need to find a way to get her out of it. Or maybe this means that even if they can overpower it, that they end up realizing that they aren't going to be able to defeat it because defeating it would kill Amnelis, and people have reservations about that. I mean, probably, this feels like the thing that King Mont wouldn't do, like the step he wouldn't take. Once he realizes that Amnelis is a part of the body of the Realm Scourge, he would try to find any other way to do it, I believe. To an extent. I don't know, it's going to be fun to see this play out, so I hope everybody's hyped for Season 3. See you in the next one.